Hello friends, this is Julia from the Massillon Public Library, and today I'm going to be sharing with you some donut experiences that I've had just a couple of days ago. I filmed myself with two different recipes that I found. One of them was actually a specific request by a patron, and I'll show you what I did. I did film it, I obviously previously, and edited it together. Some of it I kind of sped up, but I'll talk over it as it goes. So let me get the screen. And then at the end, I will come back and I will share the recipes with you if you want to try them. Okay, so optimize for video. And there is no sound with the video, so that's okay. So hopefully you can see this. And is it, how do I play it? Okay, there we go. All right, so this is the recipe that I made first was something that I found from a YouTube video, somebody I've recently been following. Her name is Emma. The channel is called Emma's Goodies. And it's two ingredient donut recipe. So it takes self-rising flour and yogurt, just plain yogurt. Doesn't have to be Greek yogurt or anything. And she starts it by weight, but I do have the instructions by the cup size sort of thing. So because I had I was able to weigh, so I thought, well, sure, let's see if that makes a difference. So obviously this is sped up. So it's just, I don't remember what the amount is, but basically like a cup of flour and a little bit more than that. Well, maybe 7 ounces or something like that of the yogurt. And that's it. And that's the dough. And you just kind of mix it around. It gets to be a wet dough that holds together. And then she has you putting it in a pastry bag, like a piping bag, and you fill it up, and then these have to be fried. So I did have some oil for deep frying, but I don't have 5 inches of oil. It's just, I just put it into like a cast iron, not a cast iron, one of my Revereware skillets. And you kind of squirt it in and then use some kitchen scissors to cut it. So you just, if you've ever decorated something with a piping bag, with a pastry bag, you just kind of squeeze it and go. You're going into the hot oil. It wasn't too bad. See, there's not a lot of oil in the pan. This is actually the second time, and my arm is in the way because I was getting frustrated. First time the hole wasn't big enough, and I made tiny little things that were like little fingers, like donut fingers. I don't know. They tasted fine, but they didn't look good. So I cut the hole bigger in the bag, and you just kind of cut them. You wouldn't have to do this. I guess it actually was a thick enough dough. You probably could have just either just done it with 2 spoons into the oil, or you could have probably rolled them up lightly with your fingers and put them in. And then you just fry them in the oil till they get golden. I don't know how long this particular section is. Oh, I cut off. And then come back to the end. And you can see they're golden. They look good, so I drained them on the list. So you can see the tiny little things that I had there for the first off. And then she had a recipe for glaze, which then I continued to use for this because it makes so much. So it was 2 cups of powdered sugar, some melted butter, and I think I ended up using 4 tablespoons of milk, and then also just a little bit of vanilla, which is optional. I didn't warm the milk because I know some glaze uses that, because I had melted the butter in the microwave first, so I figured that was probably enough for the warmth. I hope I speak. It just makes a glaze. Pretty simple. All right. There I go, stirry, stirry, stirry. I got the bright idea of actually using a glass bowl so that you could see what I was stirring instead of using the white plastic bowl. Okay, so there's the donuts that have drained on paper toweling, and there's the glaze, and it just says to put them in there. And then I have the tray there, the cooling tray with some paper towels underneath so that it could catch the drips. So this coated them all together. I hope I speed this up. I've learned a new skill of editing video through all of this pandemic staying at home time. So I have a new skill. I have a lot to learn still. But it's been interesting. Right. There we go. Some of them I saved. We also just like to do donuts with just sugar on top. So instead of using the full glaze, just like a just regular table sugar, and set them there. And then I think I kind of put them on a plate. I don't really remember. Donuts do not live long in our house. So I was thinking, wouldn't it have been nice? And those weren't fully dried yet. You can see the glaze is still wet. They don't live long. I thought it would be nice if I actually had a donut to eat this morning on camera. Like, nah, they're gone. They're all gone. I don't even think they lasted an hour. Okay, so this is the second recipe. So this is using puff pastry. You need to thaw. Mine was frozen first, so you had to thaw it about 40 minutes, and then you put an egg wash between, and then you put the second layer on top. So you're using both sheets of the package. Press it down. I don't know. Some of it seemed kind of frozen to me while I was doing that. That's what I was saying. Well, so I did not have a 3-inch cutter. The specific recipe called for a 3-inch cutter and a 1-inch cutter for the whole. I scoured. This is actually what I'm using here at the beginning is actually a donut cutter, and it has an insert to go in the middle, but I couldn't find the insert. And what I noticed is it gets stuck in the middle, and there's no way to really get it out. So then I just went with this even slightly smaller regular cookie cutter that's just a circle. And then I used a pill bottle, which is the best thing I could find, to make the smaller holes in the middle, which you'll see in just a bit. The focus got a little wonky there on my camera. It was empty. I washed it out. It was all okay. And then I blacked out the name. And even that kind of got stuck in the lid. So there you go. So that's how. I didn't know what to do with the leftover stuff, and I realized you can't just re-roll it like you do if you make regular cookie dough or pastry dough yourself. So what we ended up doing, so there I'm putting it in the 400-degree oven for 20 minutes. I don't know. I'll go over it again at the end. But I saved some of the dough, and I wanted to try frying it because I also saw this mentioned in some recipes on the internet. So this is the same 2 layers of the puff pastry in that oil that I had. That I used for the first batch of donuts. This is actually another day, but I got it back out. I knew I was going to do it, so I saved it. And I think I show you the whole thing, but this is sped up, I think, like 250%. What's interesting about these is, of course, because it's a puff pastry, as it's cooking, as it's frying in the oil, it's going to be puffing up. And it took a while. They didn't just puff up instantly. It's like the heat, you can see the one in the back is really starting to lift up a bit. And there's another one too. So I just wanted to compare. So I fried both recipes of the donuts. And then this one also had the baking, which is going to be healthier for you, obviously. Okay, and then drain those on paper towels. That's them coming out of the oven. I put them on I think it was just ungreased, but I put it on my silicone baking mat anyway, just for cleanup. Okay, so then the stuff to the right of the screen is the stuff that I fried. So that's the fried, and then the stuff on the other side. I didn't show how I topped them. I don't know why. It's the same glaze that I used for the other recipe. And then for the frying, we also put some of them. Oh, let me stop sharing that. For the frying, I also did some with just the regular sugar. So let me go back. Not go back. I will show you the recipes. Here we go. Share. And okay, so this is my end picture. I just used it here for the slideshow. Again, these are the puff pastry donuts. So the ones to the left where you can see the sugar just sitting on top, those are the fried. And then the ones on the right, so the donut holes get to be like tubes. They're kind of weird as they grow with all the different layers of the flaky pastry. So here is the simple recipe that's just using the self-rising flour and the yogurt. Yeah, so it's about a cup of the self-rising flour, or 140 grams. And 190 grams of the yogurt, which is approximately 6.5 ounces plus a half a tablespoon of any plain yogurt. I mean, I guess you could also use like a vanilla yogurt or something like that. That might be fine if you're doing donuts. Apparently, this is also similar. You can make a pizza dough recipe with just the self-rising flour and yogurt in different amounts. I haven't specifically looked at that, but I thought, well, that might be interesting. But you wouldn't want vanilla yogurt for your pizza unless you're making a fruit pizza. Okay. So, and then again, that's the glaze that I used, 2 cups of powdered sugar, 2/3 of a stick of butter that was melted. I ended up using 4 tablespoons of milk and just a little bit of vanilla. So you mix up the flour and yogurt until it forms a wet dough. It holds together. Put it into a pastry bag, a piping bag, or just like a Ziploc bag. You can cut a hole in the corner and squeeze it out. You know, like I said, I think I would do this again. I enjoyed this kind of donut. It was very easy to make. And I might even just try and roll it a little bit in my hands. They would just be like for the donut hole. So that's fine. Drain it, and then, but these do have to be fried. And then top it, glaze it however you want. So that is the flour and yogurt donuts. Those were nice. They had a nice, you could get the tang of the yogurt. So I really appreciated the flour of that, the flavor of that. So the puff pastry is just one package of the puff pastry. It uses 2 sheets, beaten egg, so the egg wash in between, glaze in or sugar, again, however you want to top them, and oil for frying if you want to, or putting it in a 400-degree oven, yes, for 20 minutes. So what I actually ended up doing for those that I didn't show on camera for some reason is I dipped to the bottoms of all of them in sugar, and then I dipped the top of it into the glaze, and then I let that drip off a bit, and then I put it on the tray. So it just had the glaze on the top because I thought it was just going to get too messy if I tried to glaze the entire donut. So yeah, that can be baked, that could be fried. I think they're very simple. I mean, they all had a lot of cleanup. And they did not last long in my house. So it's like, I want another donut, and they're gone. I have myself and 2 other adults. And you know, they're small. Well, depending on how big you make them. Certainly the donut holes were very small. I liked the puff pastries because of the crispy, light, airy when they were baked. I thought they were really good. It was different. It wasn't like, you know, you go to Dunkin' Donuts and get a donut, but it was good. I liked them when they were fried. It was a heavier donut. It was a chewier donut. It was still good. Again, it wasn't exactly a donut. And the flour and yogurt was different just because it didn't rise in the same way. It was a little bit heavier. It wasn't as fluffy because it didn't have the yeast and stuff in it. But it was still good, and I did like the tanginess to it. It was kind of nice. Yeah, and you know, if you wanted to mess around with that you could use a flavored yogurt if you wanted to do like a strawberry yogurt, and then maybe put some strawberry flavoring in the icing. You know, if you wanted to, I don't know, go crazy. I don't know. But anyway, it was good. I enjoyed it. So I thank you to the Hanfields, who are the ones who recommended that I do this. And it's like, donuts, sure. So there we go. I'm going to come back with another recipe next week. I'm not sure what day yet it's going to be. We're going to be doing some copycat recipes, if you've heard of that sort of thing. So doing some things like, if you like the way this restaurant does it, here's how we can do it at home. So we've been thinking about kinds of things that people might be missing, and I'm not necessarily a mall person, but people who like going to malls and walking around. Auntie Anne's pretzels are very popular. So some soft, warm pretzels. So that is what I'm going to be trying my hand at this coming week. And so I'll have some recipes. I'll probably have some failures. I'll hopefully have some tips to share, but that will be coming up. All right, so I'm going to end the video. Thanks, everybody. Hope you have a great weekend and a happy Memorial Day, and we'll see you later.